Dominic Piatis here with Martial Arts Unleashed, with current one kickboxing atomweight champion, former IFMA Pan-American champion, current #1 Muay Thai contender in one championship, and aerospace engineer Janet Todd. How are you doing today?
Quite an introduction. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great, just wanted to say, for those who aren't familiar, the last time we saw you was in a fantastic win over Anline Hogstad in the one circle. After having some time to think about it, what are your thoughts coming away from that fight?
Oh, geez, that fight was so long ago now. No, I was happy with that fight. I got to execute the game plan that we practiced, and we were expecting to go the body. I was expecting to do it with a punch, but a kick worked. So yeah, I was happy with that performance.
And how did it feel to finally get to score a big TKO knockout in the one circle?
I mean, it always feels great, but I think, it's whenever I have a good performance, whether it's a TKO or a decision, that's what ultimately makes me happy.
So on the topic of one championship, you're currently riding a 6-fight win streak, but your current run in one championship didn't start off the way you wanted to. I kind of wanted to hear about bouncing back after that loss in your debut and how you've amassed such a nice little streak you've got on right now.
It wasn't the start that everybody wants, but I think it's the start that I needed, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that loss really pushed me to, gain more confidence in myself when I'm fighting. I think that first fight, there was a little bit of hestation in the first couple rounds, and it took me a little while to adjust. And then once I had that confidence in the 5th round, I realized I actually belonged in the circle. So I think it was a big learning experience for me. And, it also changed, we changed little parts of our training too. Fighting in MMA gloves are a lot different than fighting in boxing gloves. You don't have like big, pillows to block your face anymore. You got those small MMA gloves. So, we worked on a little bit more head movement after that, and also worked on a little bit of footwork to be able to get in, get out, and, get myself in an optimal position rather than just standing right in front. So it was a lot of good learning experiences that helped me push for, my subsequent fights. So even though it wasn't the outcome I wanted, I'm very thankful for it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, totally. A lot of people say that you learn a lot more from a loss than you do a win. So it must have been good to get that loss out of the way early.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was like, it hurt my heart.
Yeah.
But, once you emotionally detach yourself from that loss, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to be able to emotionally detach yourself. But once you do, and you're able to see that perspective, it helps you grow a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So kind of to a juxtaposition to that, what was the feeling when you got to score that atomweight kickboxing championship over Stamp Fairtex?
Oh man. I think I ugly cried. There so many times I've tried to get the gold medal at IFMA for the world championship. So many times I tried to become a world champion and just, fell a little bit short. And to be able to finally, call myself a world champion was just a amazing feeling and a dream come true for hopefully both me and my coach. He invested, he still invests a lot of time into me, and this accomplishment was definitely not possible without him and, all my teammates. And I just felt so thankful.
Oh, it must be just an amazing feeling to be able to hold the strap and just hold the belt in your hands.
Yeah, that thing's pretty heavy too. It's like holding a little toddler. I call it my baby since I don't have a real one.
And after that win, you started to transition more to focus on Muay Thai. Could you kind of go into that decision for you for you and your team to switch from primarily kickboxing to more primarily Muay Thai?
Well, so the first fight in one was for a Muay Thai belt against Stamp. And the sport I started in was actually Muay Thai. So that's where my heart is. I mean, I love kickboxing too. There's just, slight differences between the two. So I wanted to go back to Muay Thai, which is where I started, and, be able to do what's, Stamp showed us that we can do, is that we can be a double world champ. And now she's pursuing the third one. So that's pretty exciting to see too.
So you kind of brought it up a little bit, but would you like to talk about your introduction to martial arts and starting at relatively a later age than a lot of fighters, especially the ones in one championship, start at?
I know, I'm fighting these 20-year-olds. I like to think they keep me young. Yeah, so I started towards the tail end of college. I've always been active. I did, gymnastics when I was little, and then, cheerleading in high school. And I needed some form of exercise because I was just doing like, treadmill things or little workouts that with dumbbells and stuff like that I looked up online, and I couldn't do that anymore. So my friend took me to a cardio kickboxing gym, and I ended up liking it. And then one of my, he's my husband now, but at the time he was my boyfriend. He took me to like an actual Muay Thai gym, and yeah, it just started from there. And the weird thing is, I never expected to be fighting, let alone at this level. So, I'm just very thankful for all the opportunities that I've had along the way. And, I didn't realize this was a dream until, a couple of years ago, when I got to do my first IFMA world championship, and realized this was something that I really loved. And yeah, ever since then I've been fighting consistently, and now I'm here.
And kind of go into that past in amateur fighting. What were those feelings when you were going into the gym, just kind of working out for fun, and then decided, hey, I'm gonna fight competitively now?
Yeah, I started my career and I was in between projects, and there was a little bit of a lull at work. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to fight one more time, and just to get it out of my system, just to see how I do. And that one fight turned into, I don't know, over 40 fights now. But yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoyed being able to challenge myself and see how well I stack up against, others. It's the competitive nature.
Totally. And I know I saw that you had previously competed in the US Muay Thai Open, which, for those who don't know, is one of the larger American Muay Thai champion or competitions for amateurs. Could you kind of go into what that environment is like, with being in a room in Phoenix with just full of other Muay Thai lovers?
Oh no, I loved it. It's a different mentality though, doing tournaments versus one-off fights. But I love being at the tournaments. You can just feel the energy, and everybody has that passion for Muay Thai too. So everybody has that connection that brings us all together. So I always loved that tournament aspect. But also the biggest difference between the tournament and the one-off fights is more the mentality, having to do fights back to back. So you have your first fight one day, and then you'll have another one the next day, and you still have to have that mental resiliency to stay in the game, even though you might be banged up from the previous fight, and also still maintain your weight because you got to weigh in again. So yeah, it's a different mentality, but I think that also helped me get to where I am today. So yeah, I feel like it definitely built that mental resiliency, and built my confidence too. If you can fight in sort of non-ideal or adverse conditions, then you're able to overcome any challenges, even though it might not seem like it at the time.
Mhm.
You'll always be okay.
And I know you've brought up just a little bit and kind of hinted at it, but could you kind of go into that background in engineering and how you might feel that having that engineering background could actually help you in the ring?
Yeah, there's always a lot of I know it sounds weird. There is similarities between the two. Um, for engineering, there is a lot of focus that I have to put in. Like I'm very focused at the task at hand, and that's similar to how I apply my training for Muay Thai. Is, time is very valuable to me, and I put in quality work. So I have my focus 100% there. So that's sort of like discipline to be fully present, to be able to either solve a problem at work or continue to build a technique in Muay Thai. And I think another big aspect between the two is just just being able to overcome some of those challenges. There's been challenges at work where I feel like something's impossible, but in a big in a I don't know how to articulate this out. So I'm having a little difficulty. But there's like 1,000 ways to solve a problem. Just like in Muay Thai, there's 1,000 ways to land a head kick. But you're just finding that one solution that's efficient and best for the skills that you have. And that's the fun in the sport and in my work, is to be able to find that one creative solution, or to get to that outcome that I want. I think that's what I enjoy between the two of them, is sort of that creativity and just expression of yourself in the final product, or the combination.
And kind of going off of that, where do you draw some inspiration for those solutions to the problem of winning a Muay Thai fight?
Oh, I actually find a lot of inspiration in my teammates. Jackie, I don't know if you've talked to Jackie before, but Jackie Buntan, she's had an amazing streak at One this year. Just watching her develop and grow, and then being able to see her execute her style in the ring has been inspiring. And actually this week, my teammate Kaya is at the IFMA World Championships and fought, and watching her be able to, she just made some exponential growth in the past 6 months. And to see her fight on a world stage was very inspiring to see. Makes me want to work harder.
I was going to say, knowing that just training for Muay Thai can be a grueling experience. I mean, you're putting your body through a lot. How important is it to have not only good coaches, but good teammates around you to help just keep that fire lit and want you to strive for more?
Yeah, I mean, my coaches and my teammates are the reason why, and also my family too. I mean, you need that support. I'm incredibly lucky to have all these people surrounding me that support me in my dreams and my my goals, and they're a big reason why I'm where I am today. So yeah, they're a huge part of what I do.
So now that you've kind of just solidified yourself in the One championship ring, go back to that decision to finally say, you know what, I'm done fighting these amateur competitions. I want to be a professional fighter. I want to be a professional Muay Thai kickboxing champion. What was that decision like to just transition and become a full-time fighter?
I don't think there was an actual decision moment. I always kind of knew that was the direction I wanted to go. It was just a matter of time. And when me and my coach thought it was time to transition, and I kind of ultimately let my coach decide when the right time was. But there wasn't an exact moment where I was like, yes, this is when I'm going to transition. It was like, yeah, we're going in that direction. when the opportunity's there, we'll take that first pro fight.
And what was the feelings getting to take that first pro fight?
It was like having another amateur fight, to be honest. I prepare all my fights the same way, whether it's a championship fight or, just a 3-round fight, or whether it was an amateur fight. I haven't changed my mentality since my amateur days, because it's a successful formula for me. So I just took it like any other fight. I always, respect my opponents and find, try to find holes in their game and try to find what strengths that I have to be able to expose their weakness. So I just approach it the same way that I did with my amateur fights.
And knowing that not only is Muay Thai just a physical sport, but there's a lot mentally that you have to do to prepare for a fight. How do you kind of just mentally prepare for an upcoming bout or relax after a grueling day of training?
So yeah, the mental stuff is definitely I feel like a constant work in progress. I still do it today. And, sometimes we get caught. I know I do. I get caught in these ups and downs. If I have like when you train every day, you're going to have those ups and downs. And when I have some of those harder, I say more challenging training days, sometimes I have to really focus on not being so negative in my thoughts and having to try to redirect my thoughts and try to remember, the progress that I have made so far. And this is just, some growing pains to get past, to get better. So, tomorrow will be a better day. But yeah, I feel like the mental aspect is something that you constantly have to work on. And it just, just because you got confident before the last fight doesn't mean that you're going to stay confident. It's a constant wave for me. And yeah, something that I always have to be aware of, the thoughts that come into my head. Because I could be pretty mean to myself, which is kind of odd to say. Sometimes we say things to ourselves that we would never say to our friend or our teammate. For some odd reason, and you got to just be aware when those thoughts come in and be able to kind of redirect them to I'd say what the truth is or what the reality is, because sometimes your thoughts can take you down dark places that you don't expect.
Yeah, like kind of, just wanted to say,
like, no, go ahead.
Kind of like a balancing act between being not critical of yourself but not just too hard on yourself after a day of training.
Yeah, and that's like that attachment that I talk about. When you're emotionally attached to something, there's always like if you're emotionally attached, you're very happy or you're very upset with yourself, and there has to be some way for you to emotionally detach yourself from what you're doing so that you can look at it from a different perspective and be able to see what's actually happening instead of what's happening in your mind. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I was able to articulate that well.
Oh no, it was perfect. It was perfect. So on that kind of same streak of just emotional awareness and mental awareness, what for you emotionally helped just solidify that you belong in the one championship ring when you're fighting fighters like Stamp Fairtex, like Anne-Line Hogstad, these really talented world-class fighters?
I think I realized that during my first Stamp fight. Like I said, in the 5th round, I knew I was losing. So I knew I had to try to knock her out. And when I had that thought in my head, I think I didn't even think about, oh my God, I'm fighting Stamp Fairtex. It was just like, I gotta handle business. And when I did that, I was able to see what I was capable of. And that kind of built up my confidence and let me know that I actually belong there. Because I think that 5th round, I gave her a little run for her money.
And with one championship being such a global platform for Muay Thai, what are you hoping people get out of it? People who maybe aren't familiar with the sport or are just being introduced to the sport get out of watching your fights and getting to watch these high level Muay Thai bouts?
I hope they think it's a beautiful sport. I know some people might think it's violent, but it really is. It takes a lot of balance and very takes a lot of control of your body, control of your emotion, and being able to see that it's as beautiful as, watching a ballet. It is a dance, and I hope people can see that, and I know people also don't see like the work that goes behind it. But if somebody's first starting out in the sport, I hope it makes them realize that, with dedication and time, they can get there too.
And let's say you were talking to somebody who is thinking about maybe joining a gym or wanting to just try out like a free trial at their local kickboxing gym, what words of encouragement and what words of inspiration would you give them to take that leap into going to the gym and actually taking a class, kicking a bag, something like that?
Oh, I try to convince people all the time. I try to convince my coworkers. No, it depends on what they want to do. I mean, if they want to get like a full body workout, yeah, it's the perfect thing to do. And it's not as scary as it, as you might think it is, or it might feel very difficult at first. I think the first time I went to the gym, I could, when I kicked a bag, I don't think it even moved at all, actually. And I think maybe if I punched a bag, it might have pushed me back. but it takes, I'll tell them, everything takes time. And if you want to, if you really enjoy, doing this sort of exercise or workout, it took me over 10 years to even kick a bag or kick a bag properly. And I feel like I still need to work on, little techniques. But if they want that challenge of being able to constantly work and get better at something, then the sport's perfect for them.
Perfect. Well, that's all the questions I had for you today. So if you have anything you want to tell the viewers, let the people know what you're up to, go ahead and shout them out now.
Well, I want to thank everybody for, always supporting me before my fights and giving me words of encouragement. I always appreciate that. And obviously I got a shout out to my coaches and my teammates, Brian and Jackie and my sponsor in Fight Style. So, I thank you to everyone that always, showing me support. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see you back in the One Championship ring, and hopefully it's soon. So thank you so much. Thank you again for taking the time out of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. We spend a lot of time putting these videos together. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And give this video a like and to share to anybody you think might like it. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions on the video, go ahead and leave a comment. We make sure to read them all. Thanks, and see you next time.